Welcome to an episode of Just Vibing. I'm Arnav Sarkar here with Rupayan, Samanta, my editor from Sports Radio America. Friend for about a year now since I've joined. It's been one heck of a year since last summer. I don't know, time's a flat circle. It does kind of feel like I'm kind of almost in the same place as I was again, trying to start, really with a different major this time, get my life in order again. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, sometimes that's life. That's the way life goes. There's twists and turns, and there's, sometimes, you think you're getting somewhere, and then, you kind of have a setback, and then but that's okay. I mean, that's part of life. Everyone goes through that. Not alone. Yeah, I mean, it's been one heck of a year, though. I mean, in terms of, yeah, it's been about a year since I started writing for Sports Radio America as part of an internship. It's been about a year since I started the podcast, SportsVibe, which is formally started as the starting lineup. Made a name change, rebranding. Started the Just Vibing series about a year ago. Haven't had too many episodes of that. More select series, but I've gotten to enjoy the ones I've done. Had second year of the radio station. For kind of had to move on from that. We don't really have as much time to spend on that next year, unfortunately. But made a mutual decision to part ways there. So I mean, sometimes that happens too. I kind of had some peace of mind with that decision. But it was a really fun 2 years, and I really enjoyed it, and it led me to a lot of other experiences that I had. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of how things are going. I guess, yeah, I just want to kind of dive into that a little bit more. I mean, yeah, it was a good, couple of years of me being at WRSU and, having a good time. Got to know some great people. Some people now, some of my first friends, now in positions of power. So it's cool to see. Really happy for them and stuff. And of course, I really enjoy doing the talk shows. Led me to want to do things like this, and we just had a really good fun time on the air through all the different crews that I did over the summer and the spring, fall, different days, Tuesday, Friday, Wednesday, calling games, trying to break through and into doing that. Had some fun experiences there as well, of course. Yeah, and just hanging out at the studio, meetings, playing basketball with my friends. So a lot of fun times, a lot of great friends, a lot of friends that I still have, and it's really been a great 2 years. Yeah, it's led me to these other experiences. About a year of doing the podcast and writing. I also did marching band for a couple of years. That was really fun. I enjoyed that as well. But yeah, I mean, I'm really glad to have you on today. As my editor at Sports Radio America, obviously, like I said, we've known each other for a little while. You've helped me on the writing side. You helped me on the podcast side a little bit too. I guess, I wanted to start by asking you about your time at Sports Radio and, kind of what your duties and your responsibilities are as an editor.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Yeah, I've joined Sports Radio America in about June 2022. So it's been about it's going to be my second year here, almost second full year. Yeah, it's been a fun experience. I've always been passionate in sports, and now I get to actually keep stay involved in it, get more engrossed in it, learning more things than I normally would, because I guess I had specific sports that I was watching or specific teams that I was following. And maybe not like one entire sport that much or particularly, and then as an editor, having to edit so many different pieces of different sports, it's gotten me more in tune to all the happenings in the sports world. And we're trying to also expand in that field too. We're trying to not just focus on the main 5 American sports. We're trying to get into some of the more niche sports, trying to look at start recruiting more interns for sports like golf, NASCAR, tennis, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, as part of my duties and responsibilities, I get to help with the recruiting part. I always, of course, as an editor, I have to edit pieces. There, so many things that come on during the week. Just getting everything done in time, giving the proper reviews and comments and stuff. There's also weekly meetings that we have to attend with the boss, the marketing director, and managing editor. So it's the four of us. We meet on Tuesdays, sometimes even Thursdays, and then we just go over, like, review what's going on in the company, try to highlight some of the best performing articles of the week or best performing interns of the month or something like that. We try to also focus on, like, what more we can do to put ourselves out there, try to build our brand, try to rebuild our image, because it's not like anything's happened or anything. It's just that since COVID happened, we've kind of lost writers and editors and stuff, and we're trying to, like, rebuild our, like, staff basically all together behind the scenes. And we always, like, brainstorm on those things, what kind of topics to work on, what new ventures we can head into. I know that we've been trying to do some recruiting on the radio side. We're trying to build, like, documentaries and stuff. Obviously we're going to keep going with radio. That's why it's called Sports Radio America. And then we're going to keep the uptick in articles that are coming.
Yeah, no, yeah, it sounds like it's, obviously I'm part of on the writing side, at least for now, and it seems like a pretty, diverse company, like, different things, some radio, I think some live event stuff. There's definitely, a lot of writing that goes on. Yeah, I mean, I guess how would, like, how Sports Radio America, like, kind of different from, like, other, sports companies or sports media companies? Because it kind of is, like, a little bit more niche, I guess, right, in some ways. Like, how's it different from, working at, like, a typical, like, sports organization, I guess, or sports media organization?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think when I was being hired, like, during the interview process, I was told that Sports Radio America is kind of like a stepping stone, like a middleman company. Well, basically, you do well here, you get a good recommendation from the boss and the main people who work there, and then you get poached or, like, promoted by, like, taken by some other bigger company. Yeah. So yeah, basically that's how it was focused to me, or I mean that's how it was that's the description that I was given, and I found that very interesting. But then I also was wondering, like, what if somebody wanted to stay here and build the brand more? And I guess, like, I want to be one of the pieces moving forward, like, as long as possible, to stay with the company longer, because what they do here is great in the sense that there's so much freedom. Like, you get to, I think you've alluded to this before in your previous podcasts, where there's so much freedom. Like, you get to work on your own time on whatever topic you want. That's something
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's something I feel like is a difference from other companies, because maybe, like, you won't have, like, it's what the editor tells you to do. You might not have the freedom of what sport you want to cover, what topic you want to cover, and there might be strict deadlines or something like that, where, like, you have to get this done by the end of today or tomorrow or something like that. There's a lot more freedom here. I mean, we do have deadlines, but it's just for specific types of articles, not for everything else. As for me, I think I've been allowed to work on any sport, any topic that I want to, which is something I find is different, because, like, maybe like other sports media companies might be specialized in one or two particular sports, and we're trying to definitely, like, have, like, a global outreach. It's not just that we're focusing on, like, MLB, NHL, MLS, NBA, NFL stuff. We're trying to get in more cricket articles. We're trying to go look at European soccer, maybe, like, NASCAR, like I said, lacrosse, tennis, golf. I mean, UFC and boxing. That's something that I think we're seeing an uptick in popularity. So we're trying to find, like, writers who are interested in writing about boxing and wrestling.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many topics out there in the sports world that Sports Radio America wants to try to cover as many of them as possible. And one of our biggest goals has been to get a writer in each of the 10 college football conferences, and then also non-football conferences, which is something that I think we almost achieved last year. we were just missing two or three conferences, but we had like this was the closest that we've been, where at least post COVID, where we've actually had somebody writing for us like all over the US, not just like the East Coast specifically or Midwest or West Coast. We had like East to West Coast. So that's something that we're focusing on, like getting more recruits that way. And we're not just even looking at writers. We've been more active on Twitter and other social media lately. We've been trying to hire interns for social media to handle our social media feeds, to get some graphic design work done. We're trying to find as many ways as possible to just, I don't know, I mean, like keep getting college students in here, teach them something, give them some sort of work experience that they can then carry on in their future career, and then let them go. Then hopefully they'll like what we've done for us. Then they recommend us to somebody, and then the cycle basically continues that way.
Yeah, no, it's pretty informative answer that you just gave. Yeah. I definitely do like the flexibility and the freedom, and it is cool that we're, Sports Radio America, they do cover a lot of different topics, and they have writers from all over the country. Like, I guess I'm supposed to be like one of the designated Big Ten writers as a Rutgers student. And I take that. I mean, I try to do the best I can with that. I'm a big like college football fan in general. I'm seeing some of the times come out now for the games and the NFL schedules dropping. But big Rutgers fan. Big Rutgers football fan that comes with my time from the marching band when I really. I think we're going to talk about this later, but I mean, how I really got into college sports with Rutgers football, and just even at a school like Rutgers, where college football, like, the birthplace obviously, but not always the best. I mean, up and rising again. I mean, they had some down years, but even an average, below average to average team like Rutgers, who's not one of the biggest in the country, not one of the best, even there's so much tailgating, there's so much, the atmosphere of like the game day, and it's different in college, and you got like the marching band, which plays a big role in the entertainment, and we just had a lot of fun, being on the field and practicing, playing, and just being at the game, at the stadium 6 hours before the game, or at the practice field, just playing, moving stuff, just the whole 9 yards, and just seeing it come together for kickoff, and the fans, the riot squad, the shout out to their student section, really great. We feed off their energy, they feed off our energy. The cheer, the dance team, we all feed off each other's energy. The mascot, Sir Henry. So I mean, yeah, it's just a good time. I felt, as a Giants fan, as an NFL fan, as a football fan, I fell in love with Rutgers football during my time in the band. It got me involved in the radio, and that showed me a different side of really getting to really talk about the team, and even be there, calling games, things like that, like having different experiences. Me and my friend, like, we were on the summer crew last year, and we were like predicting the schedule, but I just became such a huge Rutgers football fan through my time in the band and the radio station, really in the band, and then I got into the radio station. But I mean, yeah, so I mean, that's how I got into college sports. But so as the Rutgers Big Ten writer, I guess, and then also some basketball pieces. The basketball team's set to be really good next year, going to Players Era tournament now in Vegas. So Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, and a heck of a lot more recruits than that. But one of the top teams, projected. This team should be really good. But at the same time, I mean, it's going to be really exciting. So, I mean, but I guess, like, on top of my Big Ten pieces and Rutgers, like, I really like to take a national look at, college football. Anytime there's like a big game or big event, that's like kind of my thing. Like, I like to write about like the NBA playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs, the Super Bowl, like the NFL playoffs, NFL regular season. Just take a look at the league as a whole. The big, just look. Yeah. I mean, I like to write my fandom pieces, like Rutgers football. I wrote a good one about the past, and Greg Schiano 2.0. One of my favorite articles, going from past to present.
Rutgers road back to relevance. Yeah. Title and everything. It was well done.
It was one of my favorite pieces to write, because it really covered, the years like prior, from like, like Greg Schiano 2.0, like how the last few seasons went into this year kind of the renaissance, getting going bowling, and what it could lead up to the exactly, the pinstripe bowl, and then what it could lead up to in the future as this team really looks to take to the next level. But yeah, I mean, so that was one of my favorite ones to write. I do like to take that more national look. As a college football fan, like I love writing about. I wrote a lot about the playoff and all of that good stuff. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, I like to take more national look. I get to do both here. I get to write about my teams. I get to write about whatever's going on, the leagues as a whole, like the playoffs and the important games that are going on. So it's kind of like up to you. You can write on your own time. There's there's not really a deadline as long as you do some every once in a while. Like it's it's fine. They'll help you out. Like obviously, like having an editor is really great to have like a second perspective. And I mean, I've really enjoyed my experience so far. Obviously, I'll keep writing, especially over the summer. I don't really, I'm sure I'll find some time to write some different pieces. Maybe some more Rutgers football previews, because this year is about to be amazing. So anyway, in any case, I mean, I hope so. But yeah, no, it's been great. A great experience at Sports Radio America so far. Definitely, really like what we do. I mean, it's kind of like the radio in a way, but also like very different. It's so much more at your own pace, and the radio is kind of like more Rutgers focused, and on my podcast and through my writing, I get to take a more national look, which I also really enjoy doing. So yeah, I mean that's kind of how that's going. I feel like even I've really grown, a personality, through doing the radio, through doing some of my shows. Some of my friends have really, pushed me to get to, a better place with that. Some of the beefs I've had being, a Giants fan, that's kind of really brought me out of my comfort zone. But I mean, still as like a writer, I still feel a different perspective as to, I just feel like I can express myself more easily, and, through writing, I feel like I can express things I wouldn't be able to express in words. And, I feel like writing's, it allows me to express my voice about things and give my perspective in a way I otherwise couldn't. I guess with that being said, I mean, through the podcast, through the radio shows, getting, going from someone who didn't contribute a lot to someone who was able to contribute more, and kind of have beefs with, some of the Eagles fans and stuff. That was a lot of fun. Pretend to be a Chiefs fan. But I mean, to go from someone who really just answered questions to someone who contributed to someone who's able to take a lead now and run my own podcast. I mean, and, just jump in, interject, agree, disagree with people, just really provide input. I mean, like doing the radio and then doing my podcast, taking it to the next level, and really being the moderator. It's been a lot of growth for me socially and personally. And but the writing side it's also good to be able to kind of just have that way to be able to express yourself, and in a way that I otherwise couldn't. So I've gotten a lot better as a speaker. I still feel more comfortable as a writer in a lot of cases. But having this experience has been definitely, it's definitely been a good one. I'm looking forward to seeing what else continues as I, continue my journey through, obviously now I'm kind of switching gears to where it's more like human resources stuff, not really too much sports journalism stuff. But I mean, I still want to keep my podcast going, still want to keep the writing side going, so I have some involvement in it, and keep it as a hobby and see what happens. So I mean, it's been an interesting couple of years for me with these experiences, but some good, some bad, but mostly good. And I've really enjoyed my time doing all the different things I just mentioned so far.
That's good.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess with that being said, I mean, I guess another thing I guess I wanted to talk about on the Just Vibing series, it's kind of like the non-sports side of things. On our radio shows, we kind of had a segment called "Can We Just Talk," where we talk about non-sports stuff, and those sometimes tend to be the most fun portions of the entire show, because sometimes they just go off the rails and they're fun and they're loose, and then we go back to sports stuff, and it's a nice reset button, and then we're back and ready for hour two. So in this way, it's kind of the same idea, like sometimes some of the best conversations could just be loose and free flowing, and that's I guess why I started the series, to kind of just get that looser perspective. But I guess I just want to ask you, like, I mean, obviously you said you used to do you used to do chorus in elementary school, I believe, and I've also had like a musical background. Like I did chorus too. Actually, I did band for many years. Like I said, I did marching band. I played keyboard, synthesizer, before I did the radio. And even when I did radio, I overlapped that with band one year. It was kind of hectic, but I made it work. And being at the games made everything worth it, to be honest. But I mean, in terms of music and stuff, yeah, I mean, I played piano at Carnegie Hall. I took lessons for a while. We did competitions. It went pretty far. I was actually, not to like brag or anything. I would say like me and my sister got pretty good at the whole thing, and we were able to do it at a high level, and just I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed doing percussion too. A lot of keyboard stuff, which kind of relates to piano, also drums and different things, and being the marching band in high school kind of led me do in college. I'm not really too much of, I enjoyed that too. I still do. I like to sing to the radio, I guess. Whenever I'm in the car, but yeah, I mean, like, music has a big impact on my life, as does sports. But music probably took over a lot, earlier on and before the sports stuff really got going. But what's your experience, I guess, been like with like chorus and music stuff in general?
Yeah, in fine arts, I think or at least what I'm considering fine arts, depending on how the high school I went to called it. They had art, band, chorus, and drama. So
Right.
yeah, I've always been in chorus. I guess my mom has always been like singing throughout my life. It's great to hear from there. I think maybe that's how I got my inspiration. Music has been an integral part of my life. I can't when I'm working, when I'm editing and stuff. Like if I don't have my music on, I'm gonna be going insane because no offense to any of the writers, it's not your fault. I just need I just need my music. It's just it helps me calm down and keep me in the zone, I guess,
no, a lot of people are like that actually. So
yeah,
I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, so that's just in general how music has affected me. At a young age, I also grew up taking synthesizer lessons. My mom really wanted me to continue some sort of instrument playing throughout my life, but I didn't really have much interest in that. I did like singing, so there weren't many opportunities where I was growing up because I was born in Muscat, Oman. It's in the Middle East. We didn't move to the US until 2007. Before then, any musical training and stuff were just those synthesizer lessons or just your regular radio, listening to the radio or listening to the cassettes or CDs and stuff. Once I moved to the US, I've been in chorus for almost, I want to say almost every semester I've been in some sort of school, middle school, high school, and college. I think in singing range, I've always been a tenor. I used to be a tenor one. Probably can't tell that right now unless maybe you get me super excited or something and my tone goes up. But yeah, I've done your regular chorus classes, and I've also done some after school stuff in middle school in Philadelphia, in Devon, Pennsylvania, Tredyffrin Easttown Middle School. I did chorus in Cantabile. We won some awards after school, competing against other teams. And then in high school, I was part of quartet. I was the tenor one in our group. We never really won any awards. That's something that I feel like I have a little regret on because we were always close. We were always fourth place in all of the 4 years that I was in there. So it's just really one more point or one more something, we could have been in standing at the podium getting at least a bronze award or something. That would have been nice. But yeah, I think that's been, high school was basically my last major involvement in chorus, because I think in college, I thought I did it every semester. I thought that was my goal. I wanted to do it every year, at least once a semester, maybe twice if I had the time. But I quickly ran out of time. I had to focus so much on my studies that I couldn't really do anything outside of school. Free time was not a thing for me in college. It's just sitting there grinding, finishing up this project or some homework or something or whatever. So in at Virginia Tech, which is where I went to college. We had like one requirement for some like I guess like some fine arts credit or something in that general direction. So I went back into chorus again, featured for the Tech Men in
Nice. Yeah.
I think like 2016, I want to say 16 or 17, and then did a semester there. I learned about so many like great things from them. Like apparently they also went to Carnegie Hall. Like you were talking about Rutgers band making it. Apparently VT Tech Men also went there sometimes too. They've traveled to Rome and stuff. I mean, obviously I didn't get not all that happens like every year or something.
Right.
Anything in like the semester that I participated in, but it was great to learn about all the experiences. Some of the songs were great. I mean, during our final choir, like the end of the year season concert, we had what's his name? Like Big Mike is the nickname that he goes by, but Michael something, I can't remember his last name, but he was a contestant on American Idol, and he was our guest like singer for that for the concert. And that was a great thing because like when that season of American Idol was on TV, I saw him, and I was one of his like fans like for that season. Unfortunately, he didn't make it far enough. Like he could have been a finalist. I don't think he made it that far. But it was still, I really loved his singing. It was great to see him in person. Got to take a picture with him and my friends and stuff. Just to see him like out there in front of me, like somebody who I previously only saw through like a TV screen. That was a great experience. So yeah, that's basically all I've had with chorus and music in general.
Yeah, definitely very informative. Yeah, chorus, your music, yeah, it's played a big role in my life too. Like I said, and yeah, I mean, being part of like, doing piano, playing at Carnegie Hall through that. I was actually on my own, but with the Rutgers band, I mean, even in high school band, like, going back to those days in middle school, like, in high school, our music program was very good. We had composer, I think, our band director, Andrew D. Nicola, just retired. He was very legendary. I think he won some sort of like big award or something like that. I think he was a Grammy nominee. He was really good. And then Mr. Zazali, the assistant. So like we've had, some really good teachers. Music program the music program was very good. So many kids did it, participated, and it was huge. I did band all the way from 4th, 5th grade through middle school through into 9th grade. I did concert band, then I did marching band from 10th through 12th, and really got to enjoy that. Spent a lot of time in the fall, in summer and fall, especially into that. And then probably would have also done band classes, but I went more into business, so I didn't really do the classes, unfortunately. But I mean, in college, I even took marching band. I even took band class over the spring semester. So I've had like my experiences with concert band and marching band. Marching band's really been a big role in my life. Playing keyboard, playing some of the other percussion instruments. Yeah, I mean, it's been really fun. I mean, in high school was a lot of fun. We had competitions. That used to be the big thing. We used to, because my high school, JP Stevens, like we're really academically successful, but our football team was like so bad. Like it was just painful being there, like sometimes. But we still had a good time, and we played our shows. And some years they were like half decent, I guess. But like oh my god, that was but like it was still fun. I mean, I enjoyed the experience. I enjoyed the competitions. We were also like one of the top teams because our band was so big. We used to be in one of the biggest categories. So it used to be really fun traveling to different high school every weekend, competing in the fall. I kind of wish I did more concert band, but I guess I kind of went in a different direction. Didn't really want to overlap my study hall, but yeah, no, it was really fun. I really enjoyed the marching band experience, and then I didn't really expect to come into it in college. But as fun as it was in high school, I mean, it was a whole different game in college. Like, suddenly the football games became like the big priority, and like we used to learn. And in high school, we had one show that we just did the whole season, and Right. Yeah. I think we in high school. Yeah, we basically did one show, and we made adjustments and improvements and stuff, but it was just making it better and better. And then in college, we learned a different show every 1-2 weeks, and music would fly in, and it would be pop music, and there'd just be fun tunes and songs from movies, and a lot of stuff that we recognized. And we did like some Pink stuff, Beyonce, some like for one of the women's like empowerment games. So it was like really a cool thing. There was like night games. I remember my second season. There are night games. First season there weren't any night games for Rutgers that year. Second year, 3 night games. It was one of we had such a good time. One of my favorite. Being under the lights and performing, and it was just incredible. Especially Rutgers playing when they took on Michigan, like being a huge underdog. They played a nearly perfect first half, and they were up 17-14. They scored a touchdown right before the end of the first half, and we were like on the sideline getting ready to perform. We were going nuts and just like screaming and just like how'd they do that? Like Sean Ryan caught a big pass against one of the Michigan defenders, and then Michigan missed a field goal right before the end of half, and we were like going nuts. And then second half came around, and then Michigan kind of steamrolled because they were like one of the best teams in the country. Like they have been. They just won the national championship. But so then we didn't score a point, and it went from 17-14 to 52-17. But it was a bad one. But Rutgers kind of up and coming still, I guess. They're already there, you know what I mean? So they were like one of the top teams. We can't, Rutgers is only good against the bad teams, kind of really suck. But that's kind of how it was. Against the good teams, no one can really beat them, to be honest.
Yeah.
Unless they're unless it's just TCU in the playoffs or something. Michigan has a playoff problem that they solved this year, but they beat Alabama and Washington. I can't even say anything about them anymore. They beat Ohio State 3 straight years. Got me upset, but hey, I mean that's their team. They're going down the drain this year because of their players are leaving.
Thank God.
Yeah, thank God. I hate them. I hate them with a passion. They've done too much to Rutgers, and they have so many fans in New Jersey. I hate it. They have more fans than Ohio State in New Jersey, and it's very annoying. And their fans are all arrogant and stuff too, even more arrogant than the Buckeyes, which is hard to do. So I don't know how they manage to pull that off, but because their school, they have a good school too. So they're we're the best and we're the brightest. That's their whole message, and it really just bothers me. And I don't know what it is, especially when they also cheated on top of that. I think that was what made it worse. Before it was still their fans, and I was just they're good. But then I was jealous, and I was like, oh, they're arrogant. But then it became they cheated, and then everyone hated them because they stole signs and. Oh man! And then they've had so many games against Rutgers where they beat Rutgers by just a little bit, and then they also beat them by a lot. And you never know what to expect. They left Rutgers in way too many games without giving them any wins. So it was just painful. This year is more normal. 31-7 loss, which Rutgers played well in. One thing I got used to being in the band was just getting used to Rutgers losing pretty badly because they used to it's against the Big Ten teams against the top they would start well and then they'd go up and then they just wouldn't do anything and then they wouldn't score, and once they stopped scoring the other team kept scoring and scoring and scoring. It's their defense got tired, and I've seen this happen the other way too, where Rutgers will physically overpower the other team to the point where their defense gives out, and then Rutgers will they did that to Temple this year, but against the Big Ten schools that'll happen a lot where the Rutgers, because the problem with Rutgers is their defense is good, their special teams is good, the running they found a good running game, which they've had from time to time too, and the passing game was so bad they could not keep their offense on the field, so their defense had to hold up. Defense breaks, the offense gets tired, or not even tired, the offense just goes 3 and out, and meanwhile the other offense has no problem marching down the field. So eventually the band spends the second half or even more than that just watching the game, making jokes about how bad the team is while they just keep it's fun. It's fun in a weird way because it's just there's nothing you can do about it, and it's almost funny that that's happening, and you're just making it's a good time. It's a good time, a way to pass time and just relax, because we put in so much work in the week, and burning. By the time the game comes, it's nice to just relax and just let it go by, and just you feel like you're like in heaven out there. Like it's really great. Like I really love. That's why I love college football, because of those experiences. And then of course I started watching the good games, and I really got into that every week. So, but yeah, I mean, I kind of got a little off track here, but I feel like I don't know. Just that was just important to say, because yeah, those were some of my favorite experiences, being in the band, getting into college football.
Nice.
Obviously, very different from high school, different from classical piano for sure, but just a fun side of just being loose and having fun. And, we got to play with cool sounds, and, we, I mean, so I played a lot of like electric guitar on the piano. Like we just, had a good time. I mean, we went to Indiana, played at high school marching band competition. We played at Rutgers versus Indiana. Rutgers actually like has had a nice winning streak over them. We beat them 38-3 at their place, and I was like so surprised. But I think they had their third or fourth string quarterback in, and Rutgers just absolutely dominated. And it was great. So that whole trip was fun. This year, I mean, I quit to do more like radio stuff. So like I ended up calling the Ohio State game for my first call, which that doesn't usually happen. So like it was a unique set of circumstances that got me into that one, because I couldn't get into the play-by-play, which I really wanted to do, but they gave me a color because they're like, you've been here for a while and you put in the work, but you haven't been up to speed with the production side and the demos. We want to give you an opportunity, and then this year I'm not really going to be involved in it. But like the Ohio State game, that being my first football call, it was a really good one because it was against #1 team back then in the country at the time. They were pretty good. They had a down game, but they still beat us. But Rutgers was like the Rutgers coming out party. It was like, Rutgers is for real. Like they played a very good game, even though they started the season 6-2. They played a very competitive, good game. They lost. I mean, they got overmatched eventually. I mean, they were up 9-7 at the half, which was very surprising. I mean, the defense was playing really well. The offense was a little bit struggling, but I mean, eventually Ohio State overpowered them, which it was kind of expected. But it was still a really good showing from Scarlet Knights, and it was really cool to be there and see Rutgers not getting like lapped by these teams, because for a while they had them and they weren't even in the game. So cool, really cool one to call. As my first call, and I mean, kind of like it kind of all overlaps with me. Like my music interest kind of got me, like through the years, kind of got me into marching band, and then that got me into the radio, and that got me into Rutgers football. So that's why I kind of went back to that. But I mean, and some of the best experiences with the band, doing camp and doing the games, and it was a good time. So I mean, I guess definitely a lot of good memories that I got to reflect on just now. I guess another thing, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I mean, all the experiences that you're talking about, I mean, this is pretty reminiscent for me, because like I may not have had the same experiences, but like watching like your TV show or a movie or something, like what you're describing is what I've seen. So this is like what you're telling me is like what I'm expecting, how things should go. So I mean, I'm thankful that you're sharing your experiences here about that.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I really feel like I'm like kind of opening up today, which is, I think, I mean, I feel like it's kind of the purpose of kind of, this thing is to really talk about stuff like that on a more personal level. No, it is really cool. I mean, both of the radio and band, they definitely did have quite the impact like on my life, and it was really a big part of my college experience. And doing both, I made a lot of friends. I had a lot of fun, went to a lot of games. Played music, did radio. The whole 9 yards, surrounded by Rutgers sports, really at the heart of it. So I mean, especially football and basketball, I haven't really gotten too much into, but I mean, as like involved with like I mean, I've called a couple games and stuff, and I've been to, but football is really where the bond is with band. So I have a special connection with Rutgers football from that. But basketball, one thing I will say about Rutgers basketball is they're going to be really good next year. But also that place, like the football, like, they did a pretty good job, all things considered, to, sell out games, considering how bad the team's been at times. They've come a long way, and they're actually pretty decent now. So I'm really excited for next year, and maybe we could talk about that a little bit later. But basketball, like the energy gets trapped in the building. They call it the trapezoid of terror, trapezoid of doom. The Rutgers, it's called Jersey Mike's Arena. If you ever go to those games, like, oh my goodness, like I said, the energy gets trapped. It's just a really great place to be. I really enjoy going there at least a couple of times every season. Oh my God, like yeah, Rutgers basketball, like. I'm really excited for next season there too. But yeah, I mean, I've mostly been there as a fan and a broadcaster a couple of times. But I mean, no, that place gets rocking. I can't wait to see what it's like next season. But yeah, well, I mean, other than that,
I'll be looking forward to your preview. Then gotta show them up.
Yeah, exactly. They completely rechanged the roster. Like, so I have to update who's in, who's not. Like, we got some good transfers now, so I'll definitely write about all of that. I have to work on that sometime. Yeah, I have to get back into the transfer. Yeah, I wrote a lot of it, but some of the new transfers I have to update.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, I'm looking forward to that because I mean, I've seen. Obviously, I can't share that much information. Spoiler alert, people. But yeah, I mean, seeing your draft on that, it was pretty well written. So I'm looking forward to seeing how you're gonna update that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I have to definitely take a look into that. It's been a little while now. I didn't really realize they were going to change like half the roster, but it kind of worked out. All the freshman recruits now are in, and yeah, it's just a few changes, a few that I have to make. So a few new additions. I'm looking forward to it. I think they got everything they needed in terms of shooting, and they just need like a center. But I think they'll be all right. Yeah, I guess other than that, I mean. We talked about music. We talked about our sports journalism experiences. I guess like in terms of like what are your favorite types of like what kind of music do you like to listen to, and what like kind of what I guess besides that like I guess in terms of pop culture and stuff like what's your favorite like music to listen to, movies, TV shows, like video games? Do you have any like other interests like outside of sports that you like to share for us?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think lately I haven't had much free time because well, I mean, we had so many graduating interns and so many faces aren't going to be working for us any longer. So trying to get their pieces in, trying to make them look good, polished, published, everything. So it's been I mean these last 2 weeks have been busier than I think most other times. It's usually relatively calm and quiet. Like the workload's been great so far, but when I do have free time, I mean you'll probably catch me listening to music a lot. I'm big into like YouTube shows, like particularly Good Mythical Morning, and then they have their offshoots like Mythical Kitchen. There's the Last Meals on Mythical Kitchen that I really like. Hot Ones is a show that I love to follow. I like sports movies. I think my favorite one is Moneyball. Like Moneyball is probably like I might, it's such an interesting movie that I might write like a piece on that. I'm not sure yet how I'm gonna like do the details and everything, but I just want to maybe talk about like in that article like how much of an influence it's had in my life, because the way I think about or like focus on sports is how can I have an idea outside the box, like not the status quo basically, because I don't want to be like another Stephen A. Smith or someone just like parroting the same information over and over again, like they have to, I mean, yes, they'll have their own original takes and stuff like that, but I want to just, I don't want to let like the media focus or like influence my decision making and stuff like that. So I want to be unique in all my articles. I'm trying to look at like different types, a unique perspective of certain topics and things like that. So Moneyball, like it really I don't know what the word is that I'm trying to say, but like I really love the movie because what Billy Beane was able to do there, even if they didn't win a World Series or anything, they changed the full dynamic of baseball. Like to think about like just trying to find value out of like not that much money in your payroll or something, or cutting down costs. That's really interesting because not everyone has like that same payroll, and not every team is like a New York Yankees or Los Angeles Dodgers where they just there's just like an infinite payroll. They can sign anyone that they want, like whether it's within the US or outside, like Shohei Ohtani or Yoshinobu Yamamoto or something like that, or like for the Yankees, so many big names that they've had over the past years. So like what Oakland managed to do with like the resources that they had, the way of thinking, the way of forward thinking that guys like Bill James or Billy Beane had, like that's influenced me, because that's how I want to like make my impact in the sports world. Like think outside the box as much as possible. Don't let what the common thing is influence your decisions. Like if maybe, I mean, I'm not saying that like everything that all the media, the talking heads are saying is wrong, but try to have your own input in there as much as possible. Try to look at the unique part of some topics, because there might be things that are being underreported, or like there might be topics that have been out there like in the public for such a long time, but there's still maybe details that the main guys aren't talking about. So that's what I try to go into. Like I look into topics deeper and then try to see if there's something unique to pull out of there. So that's why I like Moneyball basically. But other sports movies like The Blind Side, I mean, it's sad how like.
Oh yeah, I watched that one. Yeah, I've watched Moneyball too. A very good movie. Yeah, The Blind Side thing. Yeah, it was sad, kind of how that wasn't really like all to be true, because it was a really good movie. But
the casting was done well. I'll say that they did a good job. They did their research properly for the most part, at least what we knew before Michael Oher spoke on his own behalf. But I'm glad that he's finally at peace now, hopefully, or at least he will be. But it's really sad how things went down in real life. The movie was like, it's such a, it brings you so much joy. There's so many like interesting things in that movie. It's always going to be one of my favorites of all time. And let's see, music. I don't really have any specific genres. I think I would say like I'm more like rap focused, but specifically like French rap. I mean, that's an interesting thing, because like what I was doing one day was trying to find out the title of a particular English song that I had heard on TV. But there was this, I think like a French singer or rapper had like a similar title of that song that I was trying to search for. And when I was listening to it, I really piqued my interest, and then I started knowing more about his songs, and then I found out that he had a musical group that he was a part of. Then I listened to their songs, then I listened to other French rappers, and now I've just been like a really big fan of French rap in general. So that's one thing. But I really don't have any specific genres, because like in my playlist, there's like classical Indian like instrumental pieces from Ustad Amjad Ali Khan, or like then you'll see like a rap from Eminem or something like Lose Yourself, or Not Afraid. So
right.
very, very diverse, very like various types of songs, because I guess all I really care about is like a good background music. Like that's what I'm trying to look into. I'm not really listening to the lyrics or anything. If there's like a good beat to the song, then I'll like it, whatever genre it is. So it could be like heavy metal, it could be like classical music. Oh, and then video games. I've never really owned any consoles and stuff like that. Most of my games are on the computer or on the phone. My two like favorite animated or like anime franchises are Pokemon and Digimon. So I try to play their games like as much as possible through like emulators and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I've been a Pokemon fan since birth. Digimon too. So I mean, I don't think I'll ever let them go. Like my mom and my parents might be like, "You're too old already. You don't have to do that." But then like I see so many people older than me who still like follow it and stuff. So I just it's good to have like a group or like a community to be in, and then discuss the like various things that go on in those two franchises and stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure. I feel you. Yeah, no. I mean, it's always good to ask that question. Yeah, definitely a lot of stuff there for sure. Yeah. I guess in terms of me, I mean, you know, let's see, music. Yeah, I mean, I'm into rap a lot too. Like, yeah, Eminem's really good. Like, the whole Kendrick Drake like
Ooh,
rap
yeah.
beef, that was really good. Like, I like Kendrick a lot too. I like Drake too.
Mhm.
So I mean, but I feel like Kendrick kind of won that one. I feel like his were
Yeah,
better and stuff. And
for
yeah,
sure.
and then Drake kind of ended it by on the defensive. But just the lyrics and the rap, where like Kendrick's beats and everything was just so much better. And his points, like he was just he really like he really countered everything Drake said. He but
Yeah,
also just the raps in general were also just better in my opinion too. And
yeah. I think it's just that he's like more thoughtful in his music. He's not
yeah,
just gonna do something for
exactly.
popularity or fame or something. Like
Yeah, I think
he
that's the
means what he's
difference.
saying.
That's the
Yeah,
difference between, because Drake is more like lyrical and more like, I guess he's more popular, but like I feel like Kendrick's
yeah.
a better rapper, for sure. And
Yes,
I think he showed that in the
correct.
beef.
Yeah,
Not that Drake isn't good, like he had some good ones
yeah,
too, but I don't
yeah,
think it really was up to like the same level. Like Kendrick's
yeah.
were like certified bangers, like you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
Drake's
Yeah.
were like like some of them were like all right, but there's like they didn't really
I
hit
think
home.
it's more like the type of style too. Like Kendrick actually does rap, and I feel like
Yeah, and Drake's is like
it's
kind
more
of for the
like
mix of
singer.
like pop in it. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I feel like
I think
Drake definitely knows how
his
to cross
lyrical
the
wordplay isn't always there, but Kendrick's
yeah,
like putting so much thought into everything he's doing, every facet of the song. So that's
exactly,
probably why.
exactly. That's yeah, exactly. But I really enjoyed enjoyed the beef. It was a good one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, rap, pop. Yeah, Drake definitely has like a lot. I'd say he's probably much better of a pop artist, but
Yeah.
and Kendrick's probably a better rapper. I do like Eminem. I do like some of the other rappers. I like whatever's on the radio is kind of usually also just my jam. Like even just the pop stuff. Like I guess I've never really been too much for like Taylor Swift fan, but I started to get more into um her a little bit, and like who really like whoever's on. Like I mean like
Ah,
you know yeah, I mean, like whatever's on the radio is catchy. Like like Hosier's are like Too Sweet for Me. That one's going through my head. Like that one's a good one. Like, yeah, I mean, I'm just into whatever's on. Yeah, I mean, in terms of like movies, like I'm not really too big into movies, but I was just like watching like Diary from Wimpy Kid. That used to be my favorite movie when I was like a kid, like the whole series, especially like Dog Days. But I was, it's reminiscent. But like, yeah, those are good. I watched let's see, I watched Oppenheimer, and I did the
mm.
Barbenheimer double feature thing last summer actually
How
at
was
home.
it? I didn't get to see it.
Oh, Oppenheimer was really good actually. You just have to get into it, but like once you get into it, it's really good.
Okay.
Yeah, the science is like really fascinating, and the whole the whole making the atomic bomb was
Mhm.
really cool. Barbie was like all right, it wasn't really like my thing, but I could see why it was like like it was a good movie though. Like it was,
Gotcha.
it was interesting for sure. It made good points. Yeah, it just wasn't really like it was like but like it was good. It was catchy. Like they had some good songs in there too, and I think they did a pretty good job with it. But Oppenheimer was like certainly a masterpiece. Yeah, I'm not really too into movies. I might watch one every once in a while. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, TV shows, kind of same thing. But I guess The Office was like during the pandemic. I watched a lot more TV shows, like to binge watching and stuff. The Office is obviously
Mhm.
really funny. You can always watch that when you
Yeah.
need a laugh. One that I binge watched. I guess my sister really got me into like Grey's Anatomy. Really good show. It's like a
Interesting.
medical series. I was never really too much into the medicine, but it's just
Mhm.
really good. There's a lot of drama, a lot of character stuff, a lot of
Funny enough, that's probably
uh,
my sister's
what
favorite show too.
Grace.
Funnily enough, it's my favorite, my sister's favorite show too.
Yeah, she liked that one a lot. It's just a lot of drama. It took me like I don't even know. Like I kind of stopped watching in the middle, and then I got back into it. So like probably like during the pandemic that happened, and then when did I even finish it? Like it was like there
I
wasn't
don't
that
think
much
it's
going
done.
on. It's
I think
still going on. I'm on the current season, but yeah, I remember I kind of stopped in the middle, and then I kept going. So about 2 summers or so, but it was yeah, during the pandemic, there wasn't a lot going on, so I was just binge watching that. I was watching the NBA playoffs. So The Office, All American is another one that I really got into. That
the
one's
what?
good. That one's All American, like the football
Oh, okay.
show. It's like a lot more than just football. There's like I
Okay.
guess like Spencer James from he's like from a poor community in LA, and like he moved to Beverly Hills, so there's like the culture shock of that, and there's just just all the like the family drama, like the love interest stuff that like I really enjoy stuff like that for some reason. So yeah, I guess like a little bit of a hopeless romantic, but it's a good show. It really is. There's really a lot to enjoy in All American. Yeah, I mean it kind of went down a little bit to be honest, but by the end of but then and by the end of season 5 it got good again. I feel like season 6 is really good. I was like watching some of the episodes last weekend, like really good. So I think those are like my favorite shows. Video games, I used to be huge into like Mario Kart when I was younger, always like and Brawl too. And then I haven't really played a ton like lately, but I enjoy 2K. I like Madden. I play that like sometimes on my phone. The NCAA, the college football games coming out. I'm really excited.
Yeah, that was a good game.
That should be a lot of fun. Oh my goodness. Like I have to figure out how I'm gonna do that. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where I'm at. I mean, that's so outside sports, I'm definitely into those types of things. Yeah, I mean, I've always been like a big like water parks type of guy, like in the summer and stuff. Like I love going to Wildwood, like the beach, the water park, amusement park stuff too. Like like Six Flags is nice, but I mean I kind of like more like the smaller ones and stuff, and the boardwalk and like so that's something I don't do all the time, but like I enjoy doing it. I've always had a thing for water. Like I used to swim when I was younger too.
Nice.
Not really professionally or on the team, but I was a pretty solid swimmer and stuff. But I just like being in the water and the water park, going down the slides. Like it's always been my thing. Like over the to do that during the summer is one of my favorite things. But anyway, but yeah, so I guess those are like my interests outside sports, and so yeah, I mean. I guess I feel like so like a lot of different stuff, but everyone has their favorite, music and movies and things they like to do in their free time. So yeah, I mean,
do you have any plans over the summer, like traveling and stuff? I know that we're trying to go some places. We're not even sure. Sometimes we just go out on a drive, like as a family all together. So
yeah, sometimes it happens like that, right? Like I don't know, honestly, I haven't really gotten too much into the summer planning just yet. It's still very early in the summer.
Yeah,
it's like May 13th. College summers are long. Like I mean, you get the extra month in there. It's nice, but I don't know. I've been to the beach already last week.
Nice.
I don't know. I mean, I hopefully I don't know. I was thinking like my friend, he might come up. We might go around like. See some Big Ten football stadiums. I really wanted to do that, make a little trip out of it, take him also around to like New York and, the local area like Philly, because we're central New Jersey, not too far away, and the beach. Maybe I want to go back to Wildwood this summer. I really, maybe Cape May. Like Wildwood's always been like one of my favorites. So like I'll definitely look into that. I have to figure out what I'm really doing. I have to like, really get into like HR classes and stuff, which is not really like that interesting to me, but I have to really figure it out. And then I'm working, so yeah, we'll see. We'll see what goes on this summer. I honestly have no idea. Like last summer was kind of a whirlwind for me, and I did a little bit of everything. This summer it feels like it's gonna like be even more of a whirlwind, and I'm not. I don't know. I'm a little bit like not really sure which way it's gonna go just yet, but I'm hanging in there. I'm gonna figure it out. But right now, every day I'm just taking it day to day. So hopefully, I get into some sort of summer schedule. Because I have to do something for the rest of these months. I can't just sit around. But yeah, no summer plans. Yeah, that's kind of what I got so far. But yeah, hopefully we do go on a trip or a vacation or something like that. In there. College football, Big Ten tour would be really nice. I've always wanted to go to like Penn State, like then Pittsburgh, like Ohio State, Michigan, like all the big ones out east, Midwest. So just like whatever else is around there. So hopefully my friend takes me up on that. If not, we'll go. I was thinking of actually going. Since I guess I'm not really doing the radio anymore. I have more freedom to go to some more college football games now as a fan. I might be coming down to Rutgers, Virginia Tech, which I've always wanted to understand, man. And hopefully me and you can meet for that one. Like, that'd be sick, and then maybe the following week. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that'd be so cool. And then Rutgers playing Washington the following week. There's a lot of good ones. Ohio State, Penn State. I want to go to some big ones too. I want to go to I kind of like Ohio State on the side. So, I either want to go to Ohio State, Penn State, or Ohio State, Michigan, the big game, because those are just like really like big ones. And I want to see Ohio State get their win over Michigan, which I know it's coming. Like, I know it's coming. They're very talented this year. So like, watch out. Like, you know what I mean? Like Ohio State's going to be very good this year. Loaded on defense.
It seems like their year. Everything's like the future's looking up for them. You know, like all the roadblocks are out of the way. Now it's just all on Ryan Day and that team right there.
I know they really got to figure. Yeah, exactly. They have all the talent. Like the only thing, like even like Howard's pretty decent. Like they got great receivers. They got an elite defense of silver bullets. I mean, their defensive backs like are very good. I mean, they got some elite transfers. They're Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson's going to be an elite running back duo. I mean, they're secondary. They're linebackers. I mean, Caleb Downs in there. I mean, they returned almost their entire defense, and they added players. Like they're going to be scary good next year. I'm so excited. But I mean, they have to put it together. They do have to put together. Definitely, it's going to be exciting. College football. You can probably get segue into into college football in general, because a lot of changes in college football coming up next year. The top 2 teams, and I think every conference now, make the championship game. So we might be getting a rematch. Well, I don't know how good Michigan's going to be this year, but like if we're going to get, it's probably going to be Ohio State and Oregon in the Big Ten are probably going to be the 2 best teams, I would think. But the top 2 teams in each conference play for the championship. Which is really exciting. I think that's what it should be, because in the Big Ten, it's always like you get like the winner of the game and they're so good, and then you get like Iowa in the West, and they're just like, they don't have an offense, but their defense is like really good. So they go like they went 10-2 last year, but then they're just like no match for any of the top 3 teams in the Big Ten East, which again, like nobody really is, to be honest. But like that's why I'm so happy Rutgers doesn't play those 3 teams next year. But oh my God, we got lucky. But like but I mean, hey, like like having the 2 best teams play in the conference championship is always a good one. So yeah, other than that, I mean, 12-team playoff, I'm really excited for.
For sure.
4 teams is just not enough. Like we saw what happened to Florida State last year. Like Alabama, Michigan was really good, but like, I mean, that was just, it's just not enough. There's so many good teams in college football that don't get to sniff the playoff because there's only 4. Even half of like the biggest brands don't get to make it. Like that's, you know what I mean? So now they do. Like Penn State's never made the playoff. As much as I hate them, like they probably deserve to. They're like a very solid 10-2 team like most years, which I love making fun of them for losing those games every year. Like, but they're still a pretty good team. Like a team like that should make it, or like Ole Miss or something like from the SEC. Like those should be playoff teams. Florida State definitely should have made it. So now we're gonna see something like that where all the deserving teams, I think, make it. Because once you get to like 12, I think it's like, I think it's like okay, like like I think it's like if the 13th best team doesn't make it, I don't think it's like the end of the world. I hope Rutgers is in that conversation. I think they might be a little bit away, but I think they have a shot to push for the 12-team playoff in a few years. I mean, it's like one of the wild card teams. They're not too far away right now, and I mean, Virginia Tech too, maybe. Like I don't. I mean, both teams are up and coming and they're returning a lot. Rutgers, they announced Ethan Kagman is going to start quarterback. A little bit of an upgrade there. I mean, his accuracy, well, not great, definitely better than Wimsatt.
Gotcha.
So yeah, with Gavin Wimsatt going to Kentucky now, so a lot of like movement, but the
he's moved now?
Huh?
He's moved already?
Yeah, he moved to, he's transferring to Kentucky, and Kagman is going to start at Rutgers now from Minnesota, and then running game coming on, guys returning. Like Rutgers also like Ohio State, like the defense, the core is together. I mean, so many great players on that side of the ball returning, secondary linebacker like Tyrone Powell. So I mean, I think Longer Beam's returning, or Robert Longer Beam. Left the secondary, left the linebacker defense, which has been the dark side, the strength of the team. Special teams returning Jay Patel, Indian kicker. He's really good too, actually. Really solid special teams as always. Got another Australian punter coming in.
Oh, nice.
Rick Shiano really emphasizes special teams, and so that's a big piece. The defense is big. The running game's good. That they got some transfers in the receiving game. Dymere Miller, Nassim Brantley this year. So I'm excited to see what those guys could do. I mean, I feel like this team has a good year ahead of them. Like I really do. I'm really looking forward to to Rutgers football, seeing what they could do.
I think like based on your articles, like the guy I'm looking forward to most is Kyle Monangai. Like
Kyle Monangai is an absolute beast. Like he was the Big Ten rushing champion in the loaded Big Ten with so many great running backs like Corum, like Blake Corum, Braylon Allen. Like he led all of them. Like Travion from Ohio State, Travion Henderson. So yeah, I mean, Kyle Monangai. I mean, he really saved the team so many times. He put the team on his back. He was like the guy for Rutgers last year, even against good teams. Like even against Ohio State, he had like 150 rushing yards. Like he was just kept going. Like in the bowl game, I think he also had over 100 something rushing yards again. Like really good performance. Virginia Tech, I think he had 3 touchdowns. Like Temple, he had a touchdown or maybe even more than that. Another big game there too. So I mean, it was just Kamanangai all the way last year. He was really good.
This is, I think, in that this is an interesting aspect of like Sports Radio America that I've really enjoyed. Like I know we've talked about this in like our own personal conversations, but like I haven't really been much of like a college sports fan until I got to Sports Radio America, because before it was just like I was following my own teams. So like I'm like an all Philadelphia fan in pro sports and in college.
I know. It's all right. I feel you.
That's gonna be a
sorry.
I know that's just a problem with you, because like for the New York Giants and stuff, like so many that Philadelphia New York rivalry.
2 of my friends from the radio were big Philly fans too, actually. So and some other people, some of my other friends are too. So I'm familiar, but you weren't really like much into like college, I guess. Until
I really wasn't much into college sports. Like my favorite college is Georgia Southern, the Eagles in the Sun Belt. But like I would like follow their scores like occasionally. I'd like check their schedule to see like what's going on or something like that. But like now here, like being an editor, most of our articles have been college sports oriented. So like I'm learning so much about like these various different teams from all my interns. Like I've learned so much about Rutgers football from you. We've had Kentucky interns, Ohio State interns. Missouri.
Missouri was one of my favorite teams, like outside of Rutgers, because they like were insane. Their football team was so good. They also have that underdog mentality like Rutgers, but they got
to beat Ohio State. They
beat Ohio State in the bowl game. I was like, whoa, like
great.
I mean, 10-2.
That was one of the best teams there.
Yeah. I mean, because I kind of like Ohio State. I was like a little like bummed out, but I mean, at the same time, I was happy for Mizzou. I was hoping they could beat Georgia. They fell short, but I mean, they beat Tennessee. I was really happy for them. Like, that's one of my favorite SEC teams, I guess you could say. I'd probably like Alabama a little bit more if they beat Michigan, but they weren't able to pull it off. So I'm not really like too big of a fan anymore. But like I used to always hate them, and then when they got less good, I was like, okay, they're kind of like the good underdogs now on the big scale. Like Georgia's like the bully now, so like I kind of like I'm okay with Alabama. And my friends who I did the podcast with, Kapil's a big Alabama fan, so I've grown more to like them, I guess. And obviously, like I prefer them over like Auburn, but I mean, it sucked they couldn't beat Michigan, because I was like really into rooting against Michigan and rooting for Bama, because I thought they could pull it off, but they weren't able to. It was a really good Rose Bowl. I really enjoyed the game, but anyway, so college football, I mean, it seems like you've had the same experience with, like, I guess Sports Radio America for you is kind of like your introduction to like college sports and really learning about different colleges. And
I mean, once you get to like once so many articles come your way and you're just editing them over and over, I'm not saying this in a bad way, like you just start to pick up on some things, and some like you're trying to follow some players, and then like I guess with some of my interns, it's like I was just in order to keep like a conversation going, because I don't want to be like that like strict editor or something. I want to be friends with the people I'm working with. It's not like they're working under me or something, or like for me. They're working for the organization, and I'm just helping them in their career or their future or something like that. So sometimes I just keep up with like their teams or the schedules or like the players or something like that to keep like a conversation going, and they'd appreciate that. So I mean, you've appreciated it too. So like it's just it's great to learn about all these things because I mean, sports is sports. Like, I love sports. I love all types of sports. So like it's good to stay more in depth, like in touch with it, I guess. So
yeah, I feel you. I tell you, yeah. It is really cool to learn about college sports and you know, other schools that I'm not like such a big fan of too. And yeah, I mean, yeah, even reading some of the other articles like Missouri and Kentucky and like all these different ones, like I've learned a little bit about different teams and
yeah.
yeah. So I mean, yeah. So what like I guess I'm just kind of like, you know, I was kind of wondering like, you know, what makes you like into, I guess, like, you know, like, you know, Georgia Southern. Like obviously I know you went to you know, Virginia Tech, and then you know, I didn't really become the biggest Virginia Tech fan, became a Georgia Southern fan, and I guess you were from like Pennsylvania, so like, or you grew up there and then you became like all Philly fan, which again, I mean, you know, it's what it is. But like, I mean, I'm on New York, but that's geography, I guess. You know, that it does things to people. I mean, it's like, yeah, those are my teams. You know, I see them on TV, and you know, I like them, and you grew up with them, right? So like, you know, everyone from that area is, you know, pretty much South Jersey too. Is like, you know, Delaware. Like those are, you know, Eastern Pennsylvania. That's like that's, you know, even South Jersey, Delaware, Eastern Pennsylvania, that's Philly sports territory. It's not very far from Central Jersey at all. So there's a little bit of an overlap with the New York and Philly teams, and you know, you drive probably an hour south, like, you know, the beach, everything, you know, the whole area. Yeah. So I mean, there's a slight overlap. We're mostly New York, and then even in New York, there's usually two teams. So there's always like the Giants and the Jets and the Knicks and the Nets. You know what I mean? So it's like even among like the New York teams, there's a lot of rivalry.
Don't forget Buffalo. They're New York too.
Yeah. But I mean, like the New York, New Jersey, like you get, so there's a lot of like Giants Eagles big rivalry. I used to feud about that, but even like I mean, even Knicks Nets, like as a Nets and Devils fan, it's been rough because like the Knicks and the Rangers are kind of like are doing really well right now. Like it's a little bit of a flip from the past 10 years or so, or the past with the Nets, and we're hanging in there, I guess. But like, I mean, you know what I mean. But it's been fun. I really enjoyed the Knicks. But I guess going back to you, and you know, so I guess I mean, I guess I understand the. Yeah, I mean, so I guess that's probably why you're like a Pennsylvania, like you're a Philly fan. And then of course, like, you know, I guess I was kind of wondering, you know, also about like the Georgia Southern, you know, like how did that connection happen?
Right. So, as I said before, I was born in Muscat, Oman. I lived there for 10 years of my life. There, like I didn't come into contact with most of the American sports until I moved in 2007. Back then, the only two sports I followed were cricket and soccer, and because it's an Asian country, like we'd call it, that was my football. Like I didn't know what American football was. Like it came here, so like following just soccer and cricket for such a long time. Cricket was the first sport that I grew up watching, so that's always going to be my favorite because just like seeing, there's so much excitement that goes on in that sport. Like I'll never, like, I don't think it compares. No sport compares to it. Like there's just so much energy on the field from the fans, from the players that involved, and there's such big names. So like that's always going to be something. That's always something that that I started off like that in my sports journey, like supporting teams and stuff. I didn't really follow much club soccer either. Like my soccer watching involved only like World Cups and international games. So like I'd be like a Germany fan or like a Brazil fan or something like that.
Yeah,
obviously India, because I'm Indian too. So like we're never gonna. Are we ever going to touch a World Cup? I don't know. I mean,
I have no clue. The U.S. has actually done pretty decent. Like now, like I like with Pulisic and you know some
the U.S.
arena. Yeah, they made it to the Sweet 16 or the knockout stage in the World Cup. I can't wait for the 2026 World Cup with the U.S. hosting it with Canada and Mexico. I think that's going to be like absolutely insane. Like the finals at MetLife too, which is like you know, so that'd be tickets are going to be so expensive, but like that's going to be so cool. Like I can't wait for that to really take over because it's gonna be a lot of fun for sure.
So basically I mean that's what I have. That's how my sport watching was in Oman. Then in 2007, I guess like the Philly connection came because the first ever city I moved to, or like we moved to as a family, was Devon, Pennsylvania. and I mean, just trying to get accustomed to like a completely different country and a new continent and everything. Like I watch the news, the local news a lot. I read a lot of newspapers, and then always just skipping ahead of your daily news stuff straight to the sports section, and I see all these Philadelphia teams being talked about. So I guess that's like since that was the first team, those were the first teams that I looked at. I guess like I grew a connection that way. So that's why I've been a Philadelphia fan. Like I'm a it's Phillies in the MLB, Union in the MLS, Flyers in the NHL, Eagles in the NFL, and Sixers in the NBA. So yeah, just seeing all that stuff on the local news for so many days in a row, and stuff like that. That's basically how my connection to Philly sports started, and I've just kept it going because, like, I mean, I've now become so involved or engrossed in their daily happenings that like I can't like really support anyone else now. Like,
no, I feel you.
Nor that I want to either, because I love everything that
exactly. They're yours, right? Like,
yes, exactly.
They're your teams. Yeah.
Yep. And the connection to Georgia Southern is actually a great segue into it, because the first 3 years that I spent in the U.S. was in Devon, Pennsylvania. Then we moved to Statesboro, Georgia, which is where Georgia Southern. My dad got his mechanical engineering professor job there. So I guess like when we were in Devon, Pennsylvania, he was working for Villanova University, so that's why I was like a Villanova fan for a couple of years, especially in like their dominance in college basketball and stuff. I got to actually see the March Madness tournament that they won on TV.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember
that last shot was a great one. Loved it.
I know. Yeah, the championship winning shot. I remember. Yeah, I was starting to get into March Madness back in high school, and yeah, before I was really into Rutgers, and so I remember watching that. I used to like Duke when I was younger, because I wasn't really, I don't know, I always found them to be really exciting. They had like NBA prospects, and they had the whole like Cameron Crazy's rally, and they they went going crazy in front of their fans. Like I thought it was like a really cool thing. So I liked them, and then then I guess I shifted over to Rutgers, but NC State had a really cool run to the Final Four. I was really excited to see that. So really happy.
Even on the women's side too, Final Four in the women's side.
Yeah, exactly, both men's and women's. But I mean, that NC State team we all fell in love with. DJ Burns, DJ Horn, the whole guys. Like, upsets are really the most fun part about March Madness. I feel like it's definitely like the coolest playoffs, especially with how many games are on the first weekend and getting all the way down to the Final Four.
So like in pro sports, I mean, I guess I fell more in love with like the daily stuff that I would see on TV or on the newspaper and stuff like that. And since I never really cared about college sports, I think my the thing was like I'd be a fan of like where my dad was working at, basically. So that then once I like started liking that team, it's just like I guess I just stuck with it, So that's why I went from Villanova to like Georgia Southern when we moved to Statesboro. And then I've just loved what they just have that underdog mentality always, So that's why I think I've stuck with them. I usually don't really like any of the big teams unless they're mine. So like I know like I can't say that with like because Philadelphia Eagles. I mean they've won a championship recently. I mean 2017, but they recent.
Yeah.
The Phillies won in 2008. They've been to 2010 World Series. They went to the World Series against the Houston Astros. There's been success.
That's the one Philly team I can kind of get behind, because they're not like a real rival of like the Yankees or anything. So I've actually like enjoyed the Red Octobers, because some of my friends from like the band and the radio station are Philly fans, and like I kind of wanted to side with them just once, and I was like the Red October thing was just like it was really like they were underdogs, and I was really feeling the energy of that, and I was just like this is great, like and then they play that song or whatever, like they're singing whatever, dancing in my room, dancing or whatever that one's called, and I was just like that feels like something I can get behind. So it was cool to see them in Red October, and it kind of fizzled out this year. But the D-backs and the Rangers, I mean they're pretty underdog teams themselves. So I mean it's cool. I do like that. I don't really mind the Phillies. Yeah, I mean, they came out late, like the last 2 years in the playoffs. They like really upset some of the Braves.
Yes,
Like, that was really cool too, I guess. But like, yeah, because even though they had like 20 less wins than them, but like they still beat them. But
exactly.
yeah,
I mean, once the
really
playoffs start, it's like a completely new slate.
I
Like
know,
in the regular season.
exactly.
That's why your 9-7 New York Giants got to upset a nearly undefeated Patriots. In that Super Bowl.
Exactly.
So anything can happen, and that
Exactly.
was a great experience too. I mean, thank God you guys did that, because Tom Brady, like the two guys that he hates are Nick Foles and Eli Manning, because they're the only ones who've gotten ahead of
only people to beat him in the Super Bowl. Yeah.
So like, I mean, it's great. It's great to see him riled up, because like he's usually like emotionless. So seeing him getting angry on that makes me happy that like we're on the end of that. And that strip sack, the beautiful strip sack at the end of that of the Super Bowl that we won against them, by Brandon Graham, and then picked up by Derek Barnett. But anyways, so yeah, Georgia Southern, because of my dad, and then I guess like I started liking what they've done, because they've been really good in the FCS. Like they moved to the FBS, I think, I want to say when I was still in college, or maybe when I was still in high school, so maybe like 10, 14 years back or something like that. So in the FCS, they've won some championships before. Then they move up to the Sun Belt and the FBS, and they were pretty successful when they had just recently joined. Just like how JMU this year, or I mean last season, how
JMU, man,
very good, exactly. Just like how they were saying that, I know it's just our first year in, and like the first year transition from the FCS, like teams usually can't make it into the to bowl games or stuff like that. But JMU kept petitioning, and then at the end they got it because there weren't enough teams, so they were the next. So like that was what happened in Georgia Southern's first FBS season. Like we were petitioning to try to make it, because we won the Sun Belt championship, I think, in our first year, and then I think we had like 10 wins overall in that season. It was a great start, and then we kind of like fizzled off. When we'd make it to bowl games, I think we've lost 2 in total out of maybe like I want to say 6 or 7 years that we've been in it. But yeah, like I don't know. I just really like what they envisioned. Like there's just stuff about that team that it's hard to explain. I've become like so engrossed in it that I now I just can't like back out. Now that's my personality. I'm a Georgia Southern Eagles fan now.
Nice. Yeah. So, kind of same way with me and Rutgers. Like, I'll always be a Rutgers fan, like long after like I graduate, long after, even past the radio and band stuff. But yeah, even after I leave the university, it's always going to be my team. Like, so yeah, I mean, that's a good transition. I mean, I think we might as well just look at the schedules for both teams while we're talking about that. So keep this one going. I'm really enjoying this conversation. It's pretty good. So so I mean, looking at the Sun Belt. I'm a big FCS guy too, because I love like the underdogs and stuff, and I love comparing like the best FCS teams to the worst like FBS teams to like see like those non-conference matchups. Those are good, because every FBS team tends to play 1 or 2 of them, or like at least one. Like this year, I have an eye out on Colorado, North Dakota State. I have an eye out on South Dakota State, Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State's a pretty good FBS team, so that might be tough. But the Jackrabbits are very, very, very good. They're like as good as a lot of FBS teams. The Bison have pulled some big upsets themselves. So both South Dakota State and North Dakota State have a decent chance of pulling that up. So I'm very excited to see those games go down week 0. No, week one. But I love absolutely. I'm a big FCS guy. I'm not too big of a group of 5, but I mean, I kind of am too, actually, to be honest. So I mean, it's a lot of fun on the lower levels, and like like kind of seeing how they stack up. Yeah, like I said, South Dakota State, like I'm really into that one. And then North Dakota State, those should be some good ones. There's always a few good. Montana State against New Mexico. Montana State, I think, should take that one. Very good FCS team against a pretty bad FBS team there. But some of the better ones like Colorado, NDSU, because I think Montana State can win. Colorado, NDSU is going to be very interesting. SDSU, Oklahoma State's going to be very, very interesting. But yeah, Georgia Southern. See what we got. So we got Boise State coming to town. Boise State's like a cool program with their blue football field.
Yeah,
the Mountain West. Yeah. Yeah, college football. I mean, yeah, because now like Washington State and Oregon State are like independents, but they're basically playing all the Mountain West teams. Like very interesting stuff going on. But so yeah, Georgia Southern.
I heard something. They were like a part of the Western, like the WCC. What's called like the Western Coast Conference.
The West Coast, maybe in basketball or something.
Yeah. In non-football sports, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah. In football, I think they're independents, but like they're playing. They're playing. Because the Pac-12 is no more, right? So I mean, I think they're. Yeah, it's weird.
What a
way
to go! What a way to go! What a way to go!
I know. Yeah, I don't even know what Oregon State and Washington State are doing in terms of football next year, to be honest. But yeah, they're like out of the, the thing. I mean, well, they're basically on a scheduling agreement with the Mountain West now that they're basically going to be playing a lot of Mountain West teams, but they're not really going to be eligible with the for the championship. But they might end up becoming Mountain West teams. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Georgia Southern playing
it seems like the most logical outcome. Like they should just join the Mountain West soon, like next year or something.
Yeah, realignment's really been interesting. Adding like all the changes, the conference championship, 2 teams, 12-team playoff, realignment. Like the Big 12 looks completely different now with like Utah, and Arizona, and Colorado, and all whoever I'm missing there, and then the Big 10 adding Washington, Oregon, like those teams, USC, UCLA. It's going to be really exciting to see those cross-country matchups. So I mean, Georgia Southern, we'll get back to that before we keep running off track here. I mean, like I said, Boise State at Nevada. So 2 Mountain West games actually, like back to back. That's interesting. I don't know. I mean, I don't really know too much about how they exactly stack up. I feel like they could probably beat Nevada. Nevada was like pretty bad last year, to be honest. I think they lost to like an FCS team like pretty badly, if I'm not mistaken, last year. To like Idaho or something like that.
They lost to number 7 FCS team Idaho 33-6.
That is not good. It should be the opposite when you're playing FCS teams. Idaho wasn't even that good either in the FCS. I don't think so. Like it's a weird one, but FC State. That's like their homecoming game, or I mean that's their FCS opponent, so that should be a win. The Ole Miss is going to be really good next year. So that's probably a loss there. It's a tough SEC team.
Then Georgia State. That
Georgia State, it's a rival game. Yeah, and then they got Marshall, JMU. Some interesting ones there. And then at Old Dominion, probably maybe a win there. At South Alabama, Troy. Troy's always been pretty good too. In a pesky team.
That's on my birthday too. Nice.
Is it? Oh. Yeah, Troy.
November 16th, Troy against Georgia Southern. That's going to be on my birthday.
Nice.
Hopefully they can give me a win.
And then at Coastal Carolina, and then home versus App State. Those are 2 of the most exciting teams, I feel like, in that conference. I like the Coastal field.
Georgia State and App State, like they always get on my nerves. Every one of those games, it's just like that's like how you feel about Rutgers, Michigan.
Or like Penn State or something. Yeah, always get on my nerves because they always win, and then sometimes in
exactly. It's not even like a close win. It's always like they'll beat the heck out of you. So that's why it's just like, can we close the gap some of these years ago? It would be nice every now and then.
I feel you. So I guess other than that, so I mean it should be a good year. I don't really have a record prediction because it's just I don't really know like enough of all of this to really do that, but it should be a good schedule. And it should be a good year. Sometimes an interesting conference. They're kind of like in the middle where they can be good. I remember like App State, Coastal, like some of these teams at the top are pretty good actually. Like South Alabama was pretty good.
Troy
Troy is very good. Yeah, they could off a lot of times they could beat like I remember App State, like obviously they beat Michigan, but like a few years ago I think they beat Texas A&M in their place. So I mean, yeah, they could be pesky. I mean, those are teams not to sleep on, I guess. And yeah, for sure. Yeah, Sunbelt's, everyone calls it the Fun Belt. It's the most chaotic college football conference for sure. You know, and then JMU, of course, you know.
Yeah,
but,
they
you know.
have the potential to be one of the best Group 5 conferences, I feel like. I mean, who's really going to be in our way? Like, Mountain West isn't going to. I mean, when I was looking at this, because I think an intern was discussing this with me, because he's also a fan of a Group of 5 team, Western Kentucky, and he was talking about how like the American Conference or the AAC was like one of the better ones, or like
they got Cincinnati into the playoff as a Group of 5, 4-team playoff. Yeah, so,
exactly.
I mean, that was a fun team. Yeah.
I'm trying to just point out here that like don't sleep on the Sun Belt. I mean, we have some good teams too. Like we could be like, maybe we won't be like a playoff team or something like that, but we can still be one of the like the top two or like even the best Group of 5 team, and because we're on the rise. I mean, I've noticed that in the off season, because we've lost so many good players, like 4-star players leaving us. Coaches, like head coaches being hired as head coaches of another other teams, or maybe even as an offensive coordinator or something, because like Georgia State, Troy, JMU, like so many teams have lost like these kind of players, because I guess now all the Power 5 conferences are noticing us and they're just trying to steal our talent, which is, I mean, great. Like we're one year we're doing well, all our talent goes away. I just hope that it just means that we can keep replenishing each year and not just like sucking now that all our talent that got us this far are now gone. But like, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree. It's a very good Group of 5 conference. The best teams are good enough to beat a lot of Power 5 teams, actually. So yeah. I guess speaking of, I mean, I wanted to do the same thing for my Scarlet Knights here. Sketch our prediction here. So, you know, keep this going on. So they open up with Howard. You know, that should be a pretty easy win, I guess, for a nice home opener this year. Last year they beat Northwestern. A little bit more acclimating way to start the year, going from FCS to Group of 5 Akron. Akron is like miserable. I mean, like they've been so bad. Like they really beat their FCS opponent, but they almost beat Indiana. So it was a little. They're an interesting team, I would say. But Akron opens up with Ohio State. So the New Look Buckeyes that I was talking about, like that's gonna be like what? That's gonna be like some game for them, because you know, they're just gonna overpower them in every way possible, and it's not gonna be pretty. But so Akron's gonna probably be banged up going into Piscataway, and then you know, for after going against Ohio State, Rutgers might be like a bit of a step down, but still probably like a bit too much for you know, Akron, who's like one of the worst MAC teams in the you know. So I mean, not very good even in their own level either. So Rutgers should go 2-0. After that, things get tougher. Virginia Tech is going to be very good next year. A night game at Lane Stadium. I don't know if it's a night game, but I hope it is. But regardless, it should be a very good game. Rutgers coming off a bye after the Akron game, which could work in their favor. Virginia Tech opening up with Vandy, Marshall, Old Dominion. So they're going to get some interesting tests the first few weeks. We'll see if they both end up undefeated. Virginia Tech's returning a lot. Their quarterback, Kyron Jones, very good. They got better as the year went on, because they were not really that great in the beginning. Second Jones came in, they were a different team. They also, I think they went 6-6, won a bowl game, just like Rutgers did. So I'm really excited. I feel like this is a coin flip, but Rutgers has really been good out of conference. I feel like they could possibly get the win, but at the same time, Virginia Tech, like, if they're really as good as you know, as they are, then they could also win. I feel like it's as toss-up-y of a matchup as you can get. So it could really go either way. But if Virginia Tech's probably going to be at the top of the ACC next year, like, you know, like not too far away, like behind Florida State and Clemson, if Rutgers could beat them, like they'll just show the depth of the Big Ten. Like, as like a middling team can like beat one of the ACC's best. You know, they beat Miami in the bowl. So I mean, we'll see if they can continue that. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Washington, a home game, that's going to be a tough one against the reigning, the runners-up last year, although they lose a lot. So, I mean, again, it could happen. An upset could happen. Thinking maybe 3-1. They probably lose one of the two. And Nebraska's going to be tough, but Nebraska's underachieved a lot, but they're still beating Rutgers. Wisconsin's a tough matchup.
Yeah.
UCLA at USC is probably a loss. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it could be like 4-2 after this, like this early stretch here, or I don't know. Maybe 3-1, 3-2. It's like hard to predict, honestly. But I have them opening up 3-0. They probably lose one of Virginia Tech and Washington, so probably 3-1. And then I think they lose at Nebraska, so 3-2. Wisconsin, they probably could lose.
I actually give you the edge at Nebraska. I think
they might. They might, yeah, because Nebraska's like.
I feel like I would be more scared of like Wisconsin, UCLA, USC. That's
a tough stretch. I feel like they could probably pull off everything but Washington. They go 4-1, and then they might lose, to Wisconsin. I think they could beat UCLA though, and then at USC probably lose that one. So then. I don't even know what that puts us at, honestly, because probably like 4-3 or something like that, I think. And then Minnesota, I feel like this stretch they could probably win some, like Minnesota at Maryland, Illinois at Michigan State. If they go like 3-1, maybe they lose one of those. Like then, I mean, if they're like 4-2, beforehand, then they go like 3-1. Like they're in the 7 to 8 game win. That's like the target here, because I feel like they should be able to win 7 to 8 games. And I think UCLA, or I think at USC, Wisconsin, those are probably going to be losses. Versus Washington, I think it's probably going to be a loss. And then they've always had a tough time with Maryland, so that's probably a loss too. The rest of the games I think are very winnable. So like I feel like maybe if they lose at Nebraska, that's still 7 wins. I feel like they should have, they really shouldn't have too much of a problem. With that, I guess worst case they also lose to Virginia Tech and then they go 6-6. But I feel like they could go 7-5, maybe even 8-4 if they also beat Nebraska. So I mean, I'm high on them. They're my team, but they're returning a lot. There's going to be a few losses, but I see 7-5, 8-4 in this team. There's no Penn State, there's no Ohio State, there's no Michigan. It's an easier schedule. These games are going to be really they're going to be really fun. I mean, there's no games that they really should lose. I guess you could argue like USC, but like other than that, they're really in a lot of these. There's a lot of toss-up games: Minnesota, Maryland, Illinois, MSU, who they beat in a great comeback game last season, and then at Virginia Tech is going to be exciting. Washington, like all of these games, maybe Washington, UCLA. I mean, Washington, USC, maybe you can argue are probably 2 losses, but everything else is like a toss-up game, like at best. You know what I mean? The Rutgers is going to be in all these games, so it's going to be very exciting. So can they rise to the occasion? Like, I think they can, and I think they can get 7-8 wins, go to a better bowl, and play an SEC team maybe or whoever they play, and have a good chance to beat them. So schedule's looking good, team's looking good, quarterback situation's looking good. I think they'll, I mean, with the improved quarterback situations and, surrounding a talented run game, receiving, is improved, defense and special teams. I mean, I think Rutgers has what it takes to improve to 7-8 wins. I think the schedule allows for it for sure. I mean, like I said, outside of UCLA, Washington, even those games, they probably have a chance, and everything else, everything else is pretty much a toss-up-ish, and then obviously Howard Akron, they should win. Everything else they very well could win, other than maybe 2 or 3 games. Other than that, I think they have a chance to win. They have a chance to win a lot of them. So I think they'll be just fine to win 7 or 8 games. It'll be interesting to see which ones they can win and which ones they won't. But like I said, other than Washington at USC, maybe Wisconsin. I think they're going to be pretty much, other than like games like that, I think they're going to be pretty much in every game. And even in those games, I think they have a good chance. But my prediction is, I guess I mean, 7 to 8 wins. I think if I had to pick the losses, I would go Washington at Nebraska, Wisconsin, and then at USC, and maybe at Maryland, and then the rest I think they can pull it off. So yeah, I mean that's my Rutgers take. A little bit optimistic, but I think they got it this year. I'm looking forward to it. It should be a really good season.
I'll probably agree with you on that, because I'll looking at what I mean, I hope what your Rutgers pieces aren't like Homer pieces or something like that. Not that I'm accusing you of anything, but I feel like from my understanding of your pieces and like what I've seen from the team, I'll give you Howard and Akron for sure. I'm also giving you Virginia Tech. Like you're saying that there might be a toss up there, like Virginia Tech and Washington. So let's say 1-1, but I'm gonna give you Virginia Tech. So I'll say that you'll be 3-1 by week 4, or I mean it will be week 5 because of the bye week. I think I'll give you Nebraska. I think you can beat Nebraska because like Matt Rule in his first season, 5-7. I mean, they're pretty close. They're there like almost like a game away from a bowl game. But you guys did better overall last season, and you're returning so many new guys. I mean, old guys, and then like the new guys that are coming in are gonna just elevate your team. So I feel like I can give you Nebraska easily. My concern here would be probably like Wisconsin, UCLA, USC. I know that maybe UCLA hasn't had the best of starts, and then they're also losing their head coach Chip Kelly to Ohio State. So it's going to be a new program and everything. But I still feel like there's a potential there that you guys go 0-3. I hope not, but Wisconsin, USC, just because of their past games and like how they've matched up against Rutgers in the past, like they like, I mean. I'm not a Rutgers fan, so like I can't like have the same optimism here. Like I'm just trying to analyze this like as a football analyst or something like that. But maybe you guys get USC, but UCLA, I mean not USC, like UCLA, but like USC and Wisconsin are going to be tough. And then in your last 4 games, definitely easy wins against Illinois and Michigan State. Maryland has always been a problem, like you said. So hopefully you guys can get an edge, but that's probably an L. And Minnesota can easily be. So giving you a lot of wins here.
Yeah, I see a lot of wins too. Like a 7 or 8 is like my like I keep saying. I think that's where they're at. Yeah, under Greg Schiano 2.0, the team's getting better, schedule's getting easier. I think it's gonna be a good year for Scarlet Knights for sure. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I guess So I guess another thing, as we kind of start to wind down here a little bit, I guess I did want to talk about the cricket, like the Cricket World Cup, because that's not always something we talk about too much on the on SportsVibe in general, or just vibing either one or anywhere else. You really like at the radio or anything So I feel like this would be a good chance to really talk about it. Yeah. So I mean obviously we talked about it last time, but for the real go here. I'm really excited. It's going to be in the United States. So I mean, it should be really exciting.
It should be good for the growth of U.S. cricket. I mean, hopefully they can get a lot more fans here, because I mean, I know that in like a piece by like the ICC, the International Cricket Council, they wrote an article, or somebody had an article out there like in one of their press conferences a couple of years back, where they're saying that their next 2 major targeted countries where they want to get more involvement in cricket are the US and China. So I hope that with this World Cup here, and then with the US team participating, they're going to be rubbing shoulders with so many legends of the game and rising stars and stuff like that. I mean, it's going to be a good experience for the guys here in the US. I mean, a lot of them are coming from other countries too. Like some of them, like for example, Corey Anderson. He used to be a former New Zealand international, and now he's going to be representing the US, being one of the very few people who's gotten to play World Cups for 2 countries, let alone just like any games. So it's going to be a good experience. Most of the games are going to be in the West Indies. A lot of the games are going to be in the US, split between 3 cities: New York, Texas, and Florida. So it should be good. Should be good. A lot of sold out tickets already because like India's games are going to be all in the US. I think all of Group A's games are in the US. So
Yeah.
should be a really interesting thing because Pakistan's in there, USA's in there, Canada's in there. So those teams are just going to pack the house in the States.
I'm really excited. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the fun all starts on June 1st. USA Canada as kind of the host, one of the host teams in Dallas getting it started. That game 8:30. That should be a great start to the tournament. Yeah, and then Group A is all going to be in the US. So I'm really excited to see, if the US, can pull off some upsets or Canada, how they all shake out. And then Ireland kind of in the middle there. Like, if they could beat like teams like India, Pakistan, probably at the top of Group A, the big India-Pakistan clash, June 9th, that's going to be really big. And the USA taking on India on June 12th. So I'm really excited. I mean, the India-Pakistan game in New York, so that should be a good one. I think USA India also might be in New York as well. They're all in the Group A's are all in the US anyway. So I mean, India's game against Ireland is also in New York, and then against Pakistan, that's going to be a crazy one. And that one's in New York at Nassau County and Long Island, and then same thing with USA India. So it'll be exciting. It's a lot of Indian, American players, a lot of players from other countries who popularized cricket on this Indian and Canadian teams. But it'll be interesting to see how they go against some of the best teams in the world. I guess we kind of did the analysis last time, but just to reiterate, in the group stage, I mean, Group A, I think at the end of the day, I think India and Pakistan are going to come through with that one.
Yep.
And then Group B, I mean, you got teams like Australia and England. I think they're going to be the best teams, but you also got Namibia, Oman, Scotland. I think Australia, England, I think are going to advance there. And then Group C, that's an interesting one because you have the West Indies, who's also one of the host teams. They're also very good. Then you have Afghanistan, you have New Zealand, both are very good. So Papua New Guinea, Uganda. So it'll probably be like West Indies and New Zealand, but Afghanistan's very pesky as well. They could probably spring some upsets. And then Group D, you got Bangladesh, South Africa, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and the Netherlands. So it'll be interesting to see who gets out of that one. Probably South Africa, very strong side. Sri Lanka or Bangladesh. Probably Sri Lanka, I think, is better, but Bangladesh is definitely also one of the top teams. So it'll be really exciting to see who wins out of those group stages. But it feels like there's two teams in every group that are kind of like a head and shoulders above the rest, and then those are like all the member nations, and then they'll duke it out in the world stage. I mean in the knockout stage, but I'm looking forward to it. It should be a good time. So I mean, that's kind of how I see it shaking out.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing that always interests me when the groups are picked are like, especially during the soccer World Cup, everyone wants to look at the group of death, and this year I think it's Group D for the Cricket World Cup because I mean South Africa is one of the top teams, a full member nation. They've always been like having success in like world stage like tournaments and stuff like that. Sometimes they come off as choke artists or something because if other fans want to call them that, I just hate that kind of term. They give it to New Zealand too, like because those two teams always make it far and then they can't actually win it in like the semifinal or the important final game or something like that.
All right.
South Africa, they should definitely be like the best in Group D, but then everyone else there can always spring an upset. Like Bangladesh has had like so many good games like in past World Cups and past like other like series and stuff like that. Sri Lanka should be then the second one, but if not, then I feel like Bangladesh has a chance with like some new ownership, like new coaching changes, getting in some new players from their Premier League, their like domestic cricket stuff. And Netherlands, I think before the news came out today that some of their players are going to be missing the World Cup because of injury or county cricket commitments, I would have said that they had the best upset potential in this entire World Cup to like pick a few wins here and there against like the top teams in the world. So now they're an obviously weakened side, so much so that I would say even Nepal has a chance of springing an upset. So those 5 teams I feel like are the most competitive when if compared to like groups A through C, because in those ones it's just like the best the non for the non-12 full member nations. It seems like they just they put together like the best team in like a specific region or something, like the best African team like Uganda or like Namibia, or best like Eastern Pacific team. So that's why Papua New Guinea came in, or like Oman, Scotland. Those guys, they might be the best in their specific region, but they might not always have that same success or the same level of like a competition against like the bigger the full member nations. So that's why I feel like Group D has like the highest chance of unpredictability. Every Group C would probably be next, just because of Afghanistan. Like if they spring a couple of upsets, West Indies could be out of it. And I mean, we've already seen like West Indies miss the qualification for the ODI World Cup last year, which was a complete shock. We saw like losses to, I think, Scotland and another team that I can't remember. So like, so it's possible. I mean, like West Indies has always been in like these world tournament situations, so to see them completely miss out of qualification, that gives me like an inkling of hope for like Afghanistan or someone to spring an upset in Group C and like join New Zealand up top, instead of having like your regular 12 teams that are in the 12 best teams in the world always making it past in these tournaments.
Yeah, yeah, completely agree with you there. I know, I'm really excited for this World Cup. It's going to be in our time zone too, so even if we don't go to the games, it'll be exciting to watch it on our own time and not have to wake up at ridiculous hours. But
yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, doing it for I tried to do that for the ODI World Cup, but because it's like almost 7-8 hours long, like I fell asleep in the middle of it. I couldn't stay up. I'm just like, I'm not used to waking up at like, or staying up until like 3 or 6 in the morning or something like that, and then staying on until like 1 p.m. past like 1 p.m., like 2 p.m. or something like that. Yeah. So those were ridiculous times, and also with the T20 being a shorter game, it'll be over in like 3 or 4 hours. So be like an easier way to like watch or like finish a game, and I can actually stay awake for it too because it's in our time zone.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm looking forward to it. I didn't really watch too much of the ODI, but I followed it. Yeah, I mean, I feel like cricket, definitely very exciting. I mean, I definitely argue it's more exciting than baseball, which we also talked about last time. Just the hits and the action that comes off the bats, the 4s and 6s, and it's a really fun sport for sure. And chasing the targets, those could always it gets interesting to see how the teams do that. But yeah, I mean, it's it's pretty much I mean. Yeah, it's pretty much all we're planning to talk about, other than I guess we could end with a little we could end with a little NBA and NHL update, but obviously I'll go in more detail on my main episode, which we should do on Wednesday. But yeah, I mean, the second round's been really interesting for the NBA playoffs. I mean, like, you got the Knicks and the Pacers. Pacers completely like tied the series. Without OG and Anunoby, the Knicks look like a different team. For going back to the Garden, I'm really excited to see that one tomorrow. Can the Knicks hang on here? I mean, everyone thought this was their series. Boston 3-1 on the Cavs. Dallas 2-1 against the Thunder. Game 4 underway now. Mavs up early, pretty big, 22-10. And then Timberwolves Nuggets, one of my favorite series also. I'm excited for the doubleheader tomorrow. Should be a good one, late night. But yeah, I mean, Denver took 2 in Minnesota. I mean, the T-Wolves took 2 in Denver, and then the Nuggets tied it up. So this is anyone's series. I mean, both teams are playing well now. The Nuggets figured it out. So can they keep that going? I'm really excited. I really want the Wolves to win. They're hungry, so they've been really good. Defense, side shooting, they have what it takes. But I'm excited to see how that one plays out for sure. And then So other than that, I mean, Stanley Cup side, the Rangers, the Canes staved off elimination. Now the Rangers are up 3-2. So now things are starting to get interesting. Game 6 in Carolina, Florida up 3-1. Dallas is leading 2-1 against the Avalanche. Panthers have the Bruins on the ropes, and Vancouver leading the Canucks 2-1 as well. So Stanley Cup playoffs are always an interesting one.
Yep.
I hope we get like Knicks Celtics and Bruins Rangers, a little New York Boston rivalry, but at the same time, like I don't know if that's gonna happen anymore. I hope it does, but I feel like the Bruins are probably gonna be out. But if we can get Knicks Celtics, I think that'd be a really good conference final, like New York versus Boston, big rivalry. But even if Indiana wins, like that would be cool too. I guess Pacers Celtics, but like I really wanted it to be Knicks Celtics. Even though I'm like a Nets fan, but just want to see that. But we'll see what happens. I mean, the Pacers completely shifted momentum. The Nuggets completely shifted momentum. NBA playoffs are definitely like my jam. Basketball. Is probably my favorite sport other than football. And during the pandemic, it was like nothing much going on. But big hoops guy. So that's pretty much what's going on. I guess to end it, do you want to do a little rapid fire segment, and then we can call it an episode?
Yeah, and then also before that, I want to say, I mean, the reigning Stanley Cup champions, Vegas Knights, the
Knights are out.
That upset, that shocked me. I mean, and Dallas is doing pretty well too. The Dallas
is doing very well.
Yeah,
so they're up 2-1 now against
2-1, and they're going. Their fourth game is going on right now against them.
Yeah. It was a very good series between Vegas and Dallas, because the Knights, they actually won the first 2 games, and then on the road, and then Dallas tied it up, and then took the 3-2 lead. Vegas tied it won it at home to tie, and then Dallas took them down in Game 7. Boston taking down Toronto after they came back down from 3-1. And heartbreak for Leafs fans. But then now the Panthers have them on the ropes again after Boston took the first game in blowout fashion. As much as I love the NBA playoffs, there is something about the Stanley Cup playoffs. They're just really exciting. It's hard to describe. It's just playoff hockey is a different beast.
The only sport where you can have actual designated fights, fighting times and stuff.
Exactly.
It's like 2 sports in one. You get boxing and you get hockey.
Exactly. The fights when the Devils and Rangers start fist fighting.
Yes.
But it's just so exciting because especially playoff hockey, every goal is important, and you get overtime, and then it's sudden death, and those overtimes can go on for a long time. It was so peaceful watching Vegas Dallas Saturday night a few weeks ago, and it was really late, and it was just it's just nothing else was going on at that time. It was just next goal wins, you know what I mean? So it's just peaceful late night Stanley Cup overtime. Nothing quite like it. As the guy who's really into basketball, it's nice because I feel like I understand the nuances of basketball. I can kind of break it down. Hockey is just fun for me to watch, and I just like seeing it go down. So without really thinking too much about all the ramifications, just watching the games. It's a fun sport. It really is. But so I mean that's how the playoffs are going. Me and Jitesh will cover that in detail on Wednesday, as we always do. I mean, this is, it's been quite the episode, or almost pushing 2 hours now, which I didn't really think, but it's been a fun 2 hours. Like I said, rapid fire at the end, I think that's such a great idea. Why don't we do that, and then we can call it an episode? Do you have anything in mind that you want to ask me? Because I feel like it's kind of I asked you a lot, and then
sure. I guess what I want to know is how do you feel or what are your plans after college, after graduation? Are you gonna stay in the sports line? Are you gonna keep on doing anything here?
That's a very good question. Honestly, I don't really know. I mean, I'm not too sure at the moment. I want to do something in the sports field for sure, but I feel like it's more a part-time thing because it didn't really, I don't know, I just didn't really feel like I could kind of really make it at the radio station the way I wanted to. And then even if I did, it'll still be a kind of part-time thing, and I have to figure out the whole career aspect, but I'm still keeping my options open, in terms of the podcast and writing and whatever else I'm doing. So I'm seeing what works, and I think I'm gonna go into HR, but from my field, but I think I found a major that suits me. That's not too hard. The business school is not really my thing, but I feel like this could be my thing. I think the sports stuff will keep on the side, but I look forward to continuing to work at it and seeing where it takes me, I guess. So I guess that's kind of how I feel about that.
Nice. You'll always have a home at Sports Radio America. We'll always have our arms open out for you. So let us know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, potentially, like if I, if I end up doing this, like I would definitely be open to doing that, like to, try to pursue a more full-time, career type thing, whether it's like writing or, like maybe through even radio stuff, like, like, yeah, I'll keep my options open for sure as we go on. Yeah. So, I mean, anything else?
So as a Giants fan, like what did you think about the NFL draft and what do you think about the offseason moves that have happened so far?
That's a good question. It was a good draft. It was definitely a good draft. They took Malik Neighbors in the first round, 6th pick. They definitely hit that one on the head because taking quarterback there, just I don't know. I didn't really feel like there's anyone like after the first few guys worth getting. They're already taken, like Drake May and Caleb Williams, obviously, and Jane Daniels, I think was taken too. So yeah, it was good. I mean, it was the right pick. It wasn't JJ McCarthy or it wasn't like some quarterback that was a reach. They got someone who like a receiver of value. They've addressed the offensive line. They got Theo Johnson, who I really like. They got like a whole bunch of Big Ten players. They got Tyron Tracy, like running back from Purdue. They got Tyler Nubin, safety from Minnesota. They got like some edge rusher from UCLA, I think, from Hawaii. I think like Darius Masao. Like it was a solid draft. They hit all the needs. I think they're trusting their offensive line from free agency, but they really did address that. They got 3 or 4 different guys, like Illuminor from Vegas. They got a few different players all over from different, like Aaron Stinney. So I feel like they definitely addressed the offensive line. I feel like it's a good year for Daniel Jones to really prove what he can do, and if not, then they have to go in a different direction. But I think they will. But like I mean, I think it's I think it's a good draft. I mean, I think it's time for the Giants to prove they're losing, I guess, this year. I mean, it's kind of like it's going to be a big season now for Daniel Jones and for the team, but I see them being better. I mean, I really like they're on the defensive side, Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau. That might be the strength of the team now. They're going to feast. I cannot wait for Saquon Barkley to come back up because they're going to run him into the ground. Like, I'm not even saying that because I'm a fan. I just know it's going to happen. Saquon's lost his step. Like, it's easy. Like, they're going to run it. They're going to run every they're going to run Dallas and Washington's backs into the ground too. Like, don't worry about it. Like, we got that. We got that covered. Big Blue Wrecking Crew. They're going to not only division, they're just gonna that's the strength of the team. I mean, like, they're so I mean, even more than the secondary, they're just going to be ferocious up front. Now, whether the offense can get going, that's a big question, because if not, like, it could be another tough season. But at the same time, that part of the team, I'm very confident, and I feel like they made the adjustments where they could be successful. They have Neighbors, they have Devin Singletary's going to be fine as the Giants are running back. I think he's almost as good as Saquon is, not quite, but Saquon has a little bit of a special burst. But he's capable. He's a serviceable back. He's not a superstar. Saquon's like a star back, but I think the Giants will be fine with Singletary as the back. Obviously not Saquon, but still pretty good. And then the Neighbors. It depends on the quarterback play. And now all the excuses are like, the defense is good. The running game is going to be serviceable. The receivers are going to be better. The O-line is going to be better. Daniel Jones really has no excuses. But I think they nailed the draft, though. And Theo Johnson at tight end from Penn State, he was really good. I'm really excited to see what he can do alongside Daniel Bellinger and some of these other guys. I think they'll be all right. It was a good draft. I think it's going to lead to a good year.
I mean, and as a Rutgers fan, you must be really happy with Jude McAtamney joining as a UDFA. That's really
I didn't even really think about that one. But yeah, I mean, I did see that they signed him. Obviously they have Graham Gano, so I feel like he's gonna still win the starting job. But yeah, I mean, it was cool because that doesn't tend to happen like too much. So getting McAtamney in from the Rutgers the Giants pipeline. It's always cool to see as a fan of both. Like Logan Ryan, I think was a Giant a couple of years ago. Played for the Patriots a while. Obviously, like the Rutgers to New England pipeline. With the McCarty twins and Logan Ryan, like the defensive backs. And then even the running game, like Pacheco on the Chiefs has been such a big revelation for Kansas City. Everyone loves Pacheco now. He just runs so hard, like no one like stop him, right? Like he's been doing that since the Rutgers days. Like people don't really realize it, but he's been running that hard since he was on Rutgers. So I mean, he kind of had kind of the story growing growing up, and he really used, you know, some personal setbacks to really, you know, take it out in the field and really prove himself. And, you know, you know, coming out of Rutgers and, you know, doing the same thing on the Chiefs, climbing the depth chart, winning, you know, scoring a touchdown in the Super Bowl last year, and then, you know, the back-to-back Super Bowl champions are the Kansas City Chiefs. Is, you know, I like to say that one. But yeah, I mean, you know, the Chiefs kingdom is in full spirit. Man, they got Xavier Worthy. Like they're gonna be fine. Yeah, they
what
got
did the Bills do there? That was such a bad, like,
I know. It was such a bad
direct rival. Like, why?
They didn't learn from like the Mahomes like trade. Like they clearly didn't learn from that. Like, why would you give the Chiefs like a receiver one? They didn't even have a receiver one last year. They had like Rashee Rice, like, and Rice is pretty good, to be honest. But like, they didn't have like their true.
If he can keep his off the field stuff, like, I
mean, yeah, exactly. That's a bit of a thing. But I mean, no, the Chiefs are going to be like.
I don't understand what's wrong with like why. I mean, I would love to be in their shoes, you know, like instead of sitting here at home, like writing stuff, like if I could be an actual athlete on the field, I would try to do everything in my power to just make sure I can make this my full-time career. But then why do they, like, I guess that's the just human nature. Maybe like no one's perfect. There's always going to be something.
There's always it's hard too.
It's really hard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to keep,
especially the younger they are. Like, I mean, he's a recent draft pick, so that means he just got out of college too. So, you know, and then already like a few years into his pro season, he's getting into trouble.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, yeah, no, that really is too bad. But yeah, I mean, yeah, so I mean, that's pretty much that's pretty much all I got for this episode. But you know, it's been a good conversation. Obviously talked about a lot about, you know, the different things, you know, we did, like sports journalism and, you know, some of the music stuff, you know, college sports, some of our experiences with our own teams, and, you know, our interests outside sports. And then we really got into some of this football stuff, and, you know, with college football and, you know, the Cricket World Cup. We even touched on NBA and NHL. I guess before we leave, is there anything like you wanna plug or you wanna add before we sign off here?
Well, I will say that I mean, Sports Radio America, we're on the rise. We're getting so many like talented interns. I mean, you know, like I don't want to be a homer or anything, but I would just say like some of these guys and girls that we have in our team right now, they could be very well like the next generation of sports journalists out there. So I mean, keep an eye out for them. Keep an eye out for Arnav here too, like our big Rutgers guy. You know, I mean, yeah, we've got a lot of great interns. It's I mean, we're trying to get into more sporting events, like pro sporting events. I mean, like we've dominated like the college market. We get so many interns get credentialed into like our regular season like college games. But we've gone into the Kentucky Derby recently. We've gone to the NFL Combine, an MLS game for the FC Cincinnati team. So I mean, yeah, we're trying to get our guys and girls in there as much as possible. As for me, like, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna hopefully start writing again soon. I've just been focused so much on editing lately, but it's been fun. Like, I don't say it in a bad way, because I'm learning so much from these young people. You know, like I'm 27 already. You guys are probably like all like 24, 22, something like that. So I mean, this old dog over here can still learn from you young guns. So I mean, I'm glad to keep on editing, like, but I'm gonna also start writing soon. Lots of cricket topics, lots of football stuff too. Yeah, basically that's it.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously, yeah. It's a lot of great stuff. Obviously, you know, keep an eye out for WRSU Rutgers Sports. Definitely, you know, they're going to provide a great, you know, coverage next year, great leadership team for next year as well. And I'm excited to see what they do as the Rutgers football and men's basketball team, especially, take the next step. So keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for, I guess, my work in Sports Radio America and in my podcast. We'll have an episode out probably after Wednesday. I think we're gonna wait till after the Game 5s tomorrow. And you know, now that I think about it, I think we're gonna wait till after the NFL schedule release on Wednesday, so we could talk about that as well. That's gonna be exciting. We're already seeing some leaks, like Ravens Chiefs, the opener game. That's gonna be a good one. But yeah, so I mean, I think we're gonna talk about all of that Wednesday, Thursday. So keep an eye out for the next episode of SportsVibe, episode 50. So it's going to be a little bit of a recap from the first year. It's also it falls right around the 1 year anniversary of when this started. So it's gonna be a fun one. It should be a good one. It should be a lot to talk about. But yeah, this has been another episode of Just Vibing, probably the longest one yet. Out of continuous 2 hours here, but it's been a fun one. I really do enjoy this series. Hopefully I can find another guest to keep it going in the future. But in the meantime, this has been another episode of Just Vibing. Stay tuned for SportsVibe coming up later in the week. But in the meantime, I'm Arnav Sarkar signing off here for my Sports Radio America editor, Rupayan Samanta, and we will see you next time.
See you guys.